making people leave. It's just great.
Yeah, so the problem we had with it was we felt like the Intimidate was going to waste, or at least I had that problem with it when I first read it. I felt the Intimidate's going to waste, and he's going to be knelt when he gets the strength bonus, so how does that help? I didn't take into account there's always standing effects. We have a lot of standing effects in the game that, we can always use on him. So we can stand him back up. There are ways to do that. And while he's standing, why can't we use another card to beef up his strength? Because we have plenty of strength boosters too that we can use on him to make that Intimidate useful. And he's milling cards, and he's got the naval, and he's such a great card. And I totally agree now that I've really thought about it and played with the card. I absolutely think it is an auto-include at this point. I wanted it on my list, but he ended up getting that one. So,
your favorite card of the pack?
It's my favorite of the pack, or the cycle. I'm so excited. Lancel Lannister, or Sir Lancel Lannister. He is a lord, he is a knight, he has 2 strength with an intrigue and a power. Sir Lancel Lannister gets +1 strength for each holy character in play, and he has a holy crest. Okay, so most of you know by now, since he's been out for a while, how awesome this guy is. At first, I was all like, do I really want to put him in a Lannister deck? Because Lannister, the only holy characters they have are Doubting Septa, Practical Believer, and Sir Lancel Lannister. So the highest he can probably get to, if you have one of each out, is 5. Which is really good, but I felt like he can get bigger than that, can't he? 5 strength, a 2-cost 5 strength is strong as it is, with 2 icons, okay? Then, I was all like, well, there's all these neutral guys. So, if you get out all these neutral holy characters, if you can, and just one of each, you can get them to like 6 or 7, and a 2-cost 6 or 7 is awesome. I would, Greyjoy Holy is used a little bit more. I feel like he's most definitely worth splashing, because each character, hopefully, is going to be giving him +1 strength. So for a 4-cost guy, I mean, you're at least going to have him at 6 strength, and that's strong.
You're saying that, I don't know, I'm going to disagree with your splashing in the Greyjoy deck.
I feel like it's stronger in Lannister, but I feel like the splash is worth it.
I don't think it's worth the 4-cost. Because that's
in a Greyjoy Holy deck, where everything has Holy, and if it doesn't, you can always use Driftwood Crown. If we had a more control meta right now, if the Game of Thrones card games meta overall wasn't so rush-driven, I think that it would work perfectly in a Lannister Treaty with the Isles deck. In a Treaty with the Isles deck, you get all the Lannister holy guys, and him without his out-of-faction cost, and you get all the Greyjoy guys. The problem right now is that we're so rush-driven that they're going to get to 10 power too quick for you to win.
Yeah.
There's no way you can get to 15. It's incredibly hard to get to 15 with a deck like that before they can get to 10. Yeah. But in my Lannister Holy Power Behind the Thrones deck, this is a key component. He's my favorite card in the deck by far, other than an obvious, well, including obvious picks like Cersei. I love him. He's just a 2-cost guy who's going to get to at least 3 strength, and in my deck at least 5 or 6. And it's fantastic.
Now, the card you've all been waiting for. Marjorie Tyrell. 3 cost, 3 strength. She has an intrigue and a power icon, and her text reads, well, any opponent controls a lady or queen character, Marjorie Tyrell gains melee. Response, after Marjorie Tyrell is knelt as an attacker, choose and kneel a character controlled by the defending player. Then that character is participating in the challenge as a defender.
Mm-hmm.
I just just think it's great. You can force people to defend with people they don't want to defend with, especially if you're going first. Make them not be able to do as much on their turn. Melee is great, and generally your opponent is going to have a lady or a queen character out. And we've talked about melee. Melee is such a phenomenal keyword. Then, I mean, obviously in a Power Behind the Throne deck, you've got that intrigue icon, which is obviously important. I just think it's a great card.
Oh yeah, it's a great card. You're forcing somebody to contribute to the challenge, so she's becoming a 4-string. She's got potentially melee, so more guys are going to increase that. Solid card. So solid that a while back when she first came out, I was on the Card Game DB forums, and there was like a this guy, and like people were talking about like what the best Lannister cards in the game were, and she was like at the top of almost everyone's list. Yeah, it is. She's a very solid card.
And that was another was on both of our lists.
Yeah, she also ended up on both of our lists, but we ended up giving it to him since he, since he likes it a little more, and he plays Lannister a little more, or he did up until I created my Holy deck a few weeks ago. So that is each of our top 7 from the Song of the Sea cycle. Thanks for watching. Anthony, how do you feel about this cycle overall?
It's okay. I mean, I don't love the cycle. I don't love what it's done to the game. It's that and the forums, I just don't particularly love what it's done to the game.
The FAQ?
Or, yeah, the FAQ, my mistake. Making it so rush driven. Because I like control decks so much better than rush decks. So. And I don't like Long Voyage and what Long Voyage has done to the game.
Okay. Well, here we go. What do I think of this cycle? I think this cycle has been boring. I think that apart from even a few of the cards I chose, I think they're solid cards, but they're not fairly interesting. They're all things we've seen before, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Like My Little Bird, I could go without.
It sounded like you were talking about like your little... I expected you to pull out like a pheasant or something. Oh, there we go. Okay, so, it's... The way I see this cycle is prior to this cycle, Martell was so powerful.
I wish I would have played him.
You could never beat Martell. It was impossible.
But now you can never beat Long Voyage, so look what it's done.
Wait, I haven't gotten there yet. Okay. So, I think this cycle was crafted as a middle point. This is my theory. This cycle exists only to make what was once good, not so good, and what was once bad, not so bad. Because prior to this, Greyjoy and Baratheon were some of the weakest houses out there, and Martell was pretty much the strongest house out there. Now, after this cycle, Martell is pretty much the weakest, and Baratheon and Greyjoy are pretty much the strongest.
But this cycle is also, well, you're calling it a middle point, it's also made this very unbalanced with how it's forcing you to run rush decks. You just can't run a control deck anymore.
Okay. The way I feel is, we started playing just a little bit before this cycle started, so this isn't necessarily from personal experience, but more of my understanding of the game state when we first started, and right before we first started. So I might be talking out of my ass here, but I feel as though, from what I've heard, that Rush is stronger. Okay, Rush is less. There's less of a difference. I can use my words, I promise. Okay, there's less of a gap between how good Rush is and how good Control is. I feel as though before this, Control was this much more powerful, and now Rush is this much more powerful.
But it's still they've taken one flaw in the game and made another.
I think it's less flawed. I think it's a middle state, and it can be improved with ease in the next cycle. I feel like this middle point was necessary so that they could build upon the foundation of the game with the King's Road cycle, which I think looks fantastic because each pack is going to capitalize on one of the themes from early in the game, and it's going to build more from the foundation of the game. You have to hit this reset button and try to balance things out a little bit more before you can build upon those.
Then if you start talking about cards like Long Voyage and Negotiations at the Great Septet are now
and here we are
not included.
Okay. There are cards. There are some decks you wouldn't include Negotiations at the Great Septet. You wouldn't include it in a Maester's deck because it's a city deck and you can't trigger both. You absolutely want to do that.
But
some say that it's not good in a Lannister deck because it's focused so much on intrigue. But if you're focused so much on intrigue, you're giving the opponent to draw back their hand, so most people don't feel that way. I feel that it still has advantages because if you're not having enough card draw, which you should because Lannister has plenty of card draw, but if you are running low on cards, it's a very powerful reset. So I still feel like there are certain times when you would want to run it in a Lannister deck. But other than that, you're absolutely right. It is practically an auto-include for several decks.
Now let's talk about Long Voyage.
It's a very... Negotiations of the Great Sept is very strong. I feel like, for 2 claim at least, I feel if it was 1 claim, then it would be a lot less strong and it would be fine. I don't feel like it should be restricted. I feel, because it already has the city limitation, I feel that it would, it is more deserving of an errata to 1 claim. I feel like 1 claim really evens out the card, and it's still a great card, but it's not as necessarily an auto-include anymore.
Now, let's talk about a card that needs an errata, Long Voyage. And
it doesn't just need an errata.
It needs it just needs to be banned.
This is a horribly designed card. Okay, it is, okay. Now, it is a great card, but it is also a horrible card because it destroyed the game. This one card allowed people to win 40% of regionals. If one card can win 40% of regionals, there is a horrible flaw in that card's design. I don't feel like they realized when they created this card, what they were doing exactly. I don't think they realized how powerful it was. Obviously, they wouldn't have released it if they knew how good it was. So, yeah, that was just a mistake. A game can't be designed perfectly. There are going to be flaws in every game's design. So, even though they were trying to balance things out, they had this one huge mistake, which can be easily done because we're expecting an FAQ any day now.
Maybe right before Gen Con.
That's just what FFG would do.
On Friday at Gen Con.
They shouldn't do that, but they, I expect them to do it before Gen Con, or at least before Worlds, because they like to mess with us.
Because, I mean, I don't want Gen Con and Worlds to both be won by 2 Long Voyage decks.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like Bruno can win with something else, because let's face it, Bruno's gonna win. So, he might try something else. I know he ran Long Voyage in a couple regionals, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But my personal feelings on Long Voyage, I know that everybody's sick of talking about this card because everybody always gripes about it. But I think it should be banned. If they ban it, I feel like...
I don't like banning cards because we have 2 banned cards now. They're about to not make them banned anymore.
Yeah, they're not banned anymore, so we'll have 1 banned card.
I think if they restricted it and just made the amount of cards you had to include in your deck larger, then it would work.
Which also, the card's been errated, but I heard that at some game stores in the tournaments, they the person running the tournament still won't let them use them because the FAQ still says they're banned even though they're errated. So, I just find that amusing. But I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying that you could just, rather than ban Long Voyage, you could just errata it and make the amount of cards that you have to have in your deck now much larger.
It has to be eroded and restricted or banned, in my opinion, because it's too good.
Yeah. We could talk about this
One or the
cycle all
other.
day,
Oh,
though,
we
so
could.
we need to, I think, probably talk.
Yeah.
So, thanks for watching.
I'm really excited for the King's Road, though. I think it's going to be great. I really look forward to building a Seasons deck out of the, after Fire and Ice comes out. Because those agendas, they look great, especially the winter one. And I for a while I've been wanting to build a winter deck, but I don't think that it's powerful enough right now. But once that pack comes out, oh yeah, everybody will be doing it.
Okay, so thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
I'm Anthony.
I'm Alex. Please like us, subscribe to us, and comment below what you thought about this video, what you thought about the cycle, what you thought about our lists. What are your favorites? Let us know in the comments below. We also have a Facebook page now. I'll link to it in the description that you can go and like. It's, yeah. I was gonna say the URL, but I don't want to mess it up because I don't know if we have a customized URL on the Facebook page yet. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
And, claim some power.